What is going on? Welcome back to Shed Built. In this episode, we're working on the coils. Alright, so picking right back up where we left off last episode, we're working on the front panhard mount. We need to finish weld this seam here, and then we're also going to reinforce using some fish plating. Alright, now that our panhard rod mount is finalised and braced, we can start moving on. Yesterday I actually got the preliminary engineering inspection approved, so we're all clear to start moving ahead. And to do that, I'm going to start figuring out these radius arm mounts now. I actually contemplated over these mounts for a long time. I was going to just fully customise them to what I need, but instead I've decided to go for a set of factory patrol drop down brackets. I got these locally from Wilkinson's Suspension. So what I've done here is I've cut up, because these normally fit inside the chassis like that, that bolts into the factory radius arm mount up the top there, and it drops down to the bottom, relocates it. So what I've done in my case is I've just cut off the relocation bracket from the top to make it smooth, and I've also trimmed off the end of it as well. As you can see here, it was quite long from where it used to bolt into the gearbox mount on the patrols. So I've cut the end of that off, and I'm just using the front half. Obviously it's just down at the moment because I'm playing around with caster and I had to move a couple of jack stands around. But what it does is it kind of comes up through here and is flat, because you can see here the chassis comes up on such a curve that if it was to be up here, the radius arm would be on such a weird angle, it would just chew out the bushes. So I'm going to have to customize these further, but at least it's a good starting point. So I'm working on the passenger side now. I'll get that wrapped up to the same point as this, and then I'll show you where we go from there. Alright, so you just saw me modify and strip all the paint off these drop down boxes, and what I've been working on off camera is just removing these factory gearbox cross member hangers. So if I didn't mention it before, I obviously had to remove the gearbox mounts from here because they were direct bang in the way. There was no other way around it, but that's alright, I can make up a new cross member. That'll be pretty easy. So I've got everything in line exactly where I want it to be. I've got my 5 degrees of caster, which is bang on again to where I want to be. So what I have to do now is start making up a couple of brackets to reinforce this here. Obviously we can't be having this big gap and just weld it on down the bottom. So I'm going to make some big plates out of some thick 6mm plate, make some brackets to tie it all in. And I don't really have much of a game plan for it as yet, but we'll get out the cardboard and start making up some templates. Alright, so what I've been doing might start to make a little bit more sense now. You can see down the front here, I had to add in that little piece through there because it had some sort of weird curve in there. So I filled that in so I can get a full weld right across this front lip here now. I've got that front cap in there, cradling it from underneath. And then you can see here these large plates with the holes drilled out. I'm going to plug weld those onto the chassis. We've also got copper weld through primer on absolutely everything. So there on the back through here. You can see down there on this front piece I've actually put a 45-degree chamfer so I can fill these two with welds. I'll do the same on this main big plate here, so we'll have a big nice fillet through there. So we've got two of these plates, one either side. Obviously we're going to get big long runs of weld all the way around. We're going to have good solid connections, and I'm also going to add some cross bracing through here, which I'll do once we've finished up here. But for now I'm going to start tacking these pieces onto the drop box, and then I can weld the inside while it's out on the bench, and then we can start getting it welded onto the chassis. Alright, so we finally have our panhard mounts tacked onto the chassis, the first official hot works of this project now that we've got engineering, so exciting times. Now we can start moving on to our coil tats that we've been making in the previous episodes, and we can finally start getting these tacked onto the chassis. Once I've got a couple of tacks in, I'm just going to test fit the shock to make sure that our angles are right, and then we can start doing the final welds. What a monumental milestone for the build. So we finally have the radius arms and the core hats welded onto the chassis on both sides. I skipped through a lot of me welding it up because, you know, you've seen me weld a million times before and it's quite boring and tedious. Plus I was laying on my back welding overhead most of the time, just getting absolutely covered in hot splatter, destroying all my t-shirts, but it's all right, we got it done. Now I can't wait any longer. I have to get the diffs under there, get it all, everything bolted up, and just get it sitting under its own weight finally off the jack stands. Oh my god. This thing is huge. Look at this. This is insane. I'm so in love. I'm so proud as well. So many times during this process where I just thought to myself, what am I doing? This is insane. I shouldn't be doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. But look at the end result. Always pays to just trust yourself, trust your gut, and just send it. And this is the end result. I'm so stoked. There's still a lot of work to do. As you can tell, we still need to rebuild all the centers, all the swivel hubs, everything else. Like, there's so many other little jobs, but that'll all have to wait until next time. For now, I'm just gonna sit down, get a cold drink, and just stare at it. All right, and that is it for another episode. Now, like I said, I'm just so stoked. I'm so proud. I'm so glad I got to bring you guys along with me through this journey, because I feel like you guys have had a lot of input into what we're doing as well. You've been direct messaging me on Instagram and just straight up getting involved, and it's always good to see. I'm acting like it's finished, but it's not. We still have a lot of work to do, but I feel like it is a time of celebration because it is a massive milestone in the build, as I've said multiple times, but it is what it is. So like I said, we still have a lot of work to do, so you have to stick around until next time. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, you know the deal, and I will see you next time. Cheers for watching.